Hi, this video is for Monday, March 23rd for trigonometry. We're going to review our factoring techniques and then you'll have a Google form on that. So I've posted these notes to Google Classroom. You can follow along with them or read them later after you watch the video, but I'm going to go over the same examples that are on your notes. Okay, so first we're going to review how to factor trinomial when the number in front of x squared is 1. Okay, so here we go. Okay, this is the general form for a trinomial, and I just told you that a is going to be equal to 1 in all these examples. So the general way of how you do it is you multiply a and c, but if a is 1, we're just going to look at c, the last term, and figure out what could we multiply together to get c, that when you add those factors, it would equal b. Okay, so we're going to look at the first example. We have x squared minus 3x minus 10. Okay, so we're going to think about what could you multiply to get negative 10. So out to the side, we're going to make a list of factors. So we have 5 and negative 2, negative 5 and positive 2, 10 and negative 1, and negative 10 and positive 1. Okay, so out of these choices of factors, I need to pick the two that when we add them together would equal negative 3. So I'm going to pick negative 5 and 2 because when you add those, the sum of that is negative 3. And then here's how you write your factors. X minus 5, x plus 2. So that is the factored form of the trinomial x squared minus 3x minus 10. And you're very welcome to switch these. You can have x plus 2 first and x minus 5 second. Okay, so now we're going to look at the next one. X squared minus 6x plus 8. So what could you multiply to get 8? That would add together to give you negative 6. So 8 we know is 4 times 2. But if I made both of those negative, if I had negative 4 and negative 2, they multiply to be 8 and they add together to be negative 6. So we're going to pick negative 4 and negative 2. So we have x minus 4 and x minus 2. Now if you're ever unsure of your factoring skills, you can always FOIL this back out and see if it matches the original equation. And if it does, you have factored it correctly, and if it doesn't, you need to go back and try again. Okay, so this is the factored form of x squared minus 6x plus 8. And that is factoring trinomials part 1, when a is equal to 1. Next, we're going to look at when a is not equal to 1. So that's a little bit different. Okay, so now we're looking still at ax squared plus bx plus c, but now a is not equal to 1, so our first step is going to be to multiply a and c. So then you'll be looking for factors of ac. That means what could you multiply to get ac that would add together to equal b. Alright, so we're going to look at the first one. 2x squared plus 9x plus 10. So first step is 2 times 10, which we know is 20. Okay, so what could you multiply to get 20? Well, we got 4 and 5, 2 and 10, 20 and 1. Okay, we want to pick the choice that adds together to be 9, and that would be 4 and 5. So now, since this is a 2, we're going to write our factors a little bit different than we did the first time. So we're going to have 2x plus 4 and 2x plus 5 Now, if we were to FOIL this back out, this would make 4x squared, and that's not what this says. So we're going to have to simplify this first factor, and I notice that 4 and 2 are both divisible by 2. So I'm going to divide both of these terms by 2 to get x plus 2. Now, 2 and 5, they don't have any common divisors except for 1, so we're going to leave that as it is. So 2x plus 5. Now, if we were to FOIL this back out, this would make 2x squared plus 5x plus 4x plus 10. So if we simplified it, you would find that you do get the original equation. So that is the answer to this question. That's the factored form of 2x squared plus 9x plus 10. Okay. Alright, next one we have 3x squared minus 4x minus 15. Okay, so first, what is 3 times negative 15? Well, that's negative 45. Okay, so if that negative freaks you out, you can always start by thinking about what could you multiply to get positive 45. And you can make a list out to the side. So we've got 9 and 5. And if I made the 9 negative, okay, negative 9 times 5 would be 45. I could also have negative 5 times 9. Okay, now, before we make a big long list, do any of those choices already add together to be negative 4? Yes, it's the first one. So again, because this is a 3, we're going to write 3x minus 9 and 3x plus 5. Okay, we have to simplify again. I noticed that I could divide both of these terms by 3, so I'm going to do that. X minus 3 and 3x plus 5. Okay, so that is the factored form of 3x squared minus 4x minus 15. Like that. Alright, so that is factoring trinomials. Next up, we're going to do difference of two squares. Okay, difference of two squares. Generically, it looks like this. You have two things that are squared, and they're separated by a minus sign. So, to factor it, you need to find the square root of both of those terms. So the square root of this is x, the square root of this is y, and then you just write it like this, x minus y, x plus y. Okay, so we're going to have an example here, x squared minus 9. Alright, now, I know that the square root of this is x, and the square root of this is 3. Okay, so we're going to write x minus 3 and x plus 3. And then that's it. You've factored the difference of two squares, x squared minus 9. Okay, so now we're going to look at one that's a little bit more complicated, but it's still very easy. So 4x squared minus 81. Now, the square root of 4 is 2. So we're going to have 2x. The square root of 81 is 9. So we're going to have 2x minus 9 and 2x plus 9. Okay, and then that's it. Alright, so that's the difference of two squares. Now we're going to do difference and sum of two cubes. So first up is sum of two cubes. Alright, so the generic formula for sum of two cubes looks like this. We have x to the third plus y to the third, and it's going to equal this. X plus y. then x squared minus xy plus y squared. Okay, so here we go. Our first problem is x to the third plus 8. Now, the way you find the cube root of a number on your calculator, you'll need to look for this symbol. So if you see that symbol somewhere, we need to find the cube root of 8, and the cube root of x to the third is just x. Okay, so the cube root of 8 happens to be 2. So this is what our factored form is going to look like. X plus 2, x squared minus 2x plus 4. Because 4 is 2 squared. The middle term here is these two things multiplied together, but a minus in front of that. And then the first term is x squared. Okay, so that is the factored form of x to the third plus 8. Okay, next one is 8x to the third plus 125, y to the third. Okay, so the cube root of 8x to the third is going to be 2x. The cube root of this is going to be 5y. Now, when we go to square this, we're going to have to square the 2 and the x. So when we square this, it's going to become 4x squared. Then we're going to have minus 2x times 5y would be 10xy. And then if you square this, we're going to have 25y squared. Okay, so like that. That's a squared. Alright, so that is the factored form of 8x to the third plus 125y to the third. So that is the sum of two cubes. Lastly, we're going to talk about difference of two cubes, and then you'll have a review Google form to fill out. So you will have all of these different concepts on your Google form. Alright, so difference of two cubes is very similar to sum of two cubes, except there's a minus in between the terms. Okay, so the generic formula is going to look like that. We're going to have x minus y, x squared plus x times y plus y squared. Okay, so our first example for this one is x to the third minus 216. Now, the cube root of the first term is x. The cube root of 216 is 6. So we're going to have x minus 6, x squared, plus 6x plus 36. And that's it. Okay, and then the very last one says 27x to the third minus 1. So the cube root of this is going to be 3x. The cube root of 1 is just 1. So we're going to have 3x minus 1. When I square this, it's going to be 9x squared plus 3x, and then plus 1. Okay, so that's it. That's difference of two cubes. So, like I've said before, if you have any questions, please email me, let me know. I will help you. Good luck on your Google form. I think all of you are doing a spectacular job at all of this, so keep it up, and I miss you, and I hope that you're doing well.